everybody experiences hard times at one point in their life. And really, how we deal with it defines us as people. What kind of person we are, and how we think, and what we believe in. A great example of somebody who went through very hard times but made it out and came out victorious is Joseph. And he's mentioned in the Bible, and he went through lots of tribulations, but because he stuck with God, he made it through them, and then he was blessed for going through them, and all in all, he just was a very good man of God. Now, I like to talk about his story today. So, when you're dealing with hard times as a Christian, you can know what to do, what you should do, and I just know that a lot of us over the past few years have been going through a lot of hard times, even before COVID, but definitely the last few years haven't been easy for anybody, whether what you believe about the whole COVID-19. But anyway, let's get into the story. Joseph started out, Joseph's life started out great. Everything was going great for Joseph. Joseph's father loved him very, very much. You probably heard the term favoritism. Well, that was very prominent in the story with Joseph and his father, because Joseph's father spoiled and loved Joseph very, very much. And he even, you might have heard the story, but he even gave his son a coat of many colors. You might have heard that story if you've ever been through some Sunday school classes. You'll hear that story a lot. So Joseph's father gives his son this coat of many colors, and all his other brothers are like, whoa, because Joseph had other brothers. He wasn't just an only child. It would make sense if it was the only child that was getting all these things, because only childs are generally, they get more things and they're a little bit more spoiled than if it was a child in a group of, if you're in a group of siblings. If you have siblings, you probably understand. But anyway, Joseph's father gives him this coat of many colors, and his brothers are like, whoa, okay, we didn't get anything like this. And Joseph just gets this super nice coat. That'd be like if, my dad went out and got my sister this, Gucci jacket, and then was like, oh yeah, it was $1,000. It wasn't even their birthday, just randomly out of the blue, because they love them so much. You'd be kind of like, dang, that's kind of annoying. And you definitely feel a little jealousy. And that's exactly what Joseph's brothers felt. Now, they were already jealous at this point that Joseph had gotten this coat. And that's when Joseph starts having these dreams. These dreams were actually turned out to be visions of the future. And God was telling him what was going to happen in the future, but how his brothers saw it, it looked a little different, because Joseph was saying stuff like, oh, you guys are going to bow down to me, and I'm going to be king over all of you. Basically stuff like that, and they were just like, okay, whoa, now this is going too far. Okay, first, Father gives you this amazing coat, and now you're going to start saying that you're having dreams of us bowing down to you. You think you're some type of King David? King Joseph, to say. Though King David, that's a story for another time. But, they were just, ticked off by this. And so, his brothers decided to do something that was, very uncalled for, to say the least. They decided to sell his brother as a slave. So they basically stuck him in a pit, and they sold their brother to a man named Potiphar. Now, like, wow, David's life, it was just going uphill and uphill and uphill. His father loved him so much. He gave him this awesome coat. He has this cool, awesome family. And then just slopes straight down. He gets sold by his brothers into slavery. Like, that's a 360 turn if I ever saw one. So David, everything's going great, and then he just gets completely demolished. And that's something, this actually kind of shows what like a Christian's life will be like. When you first become a Christian, a lot of times things will go really great, and you'll be like super motivated and stuff. And then all of a sudden, like, things start getting harder, and all of a sudden you realize that it's not very fun to be a Christian, or you think that to yourself, oh, this isn't very fun. Oh, I don't really like living God like this. It's a lot easier to sin. Sinning is a lot more fun than doing this. And, I really don't want to go to church on Sunday. That doesn't sound very fun for me. And then you start quickly sloping down. First it's like a small little slope, and then it's just a big dip. And that's actually what happened to me. For a while, I was just super motivated. I was passing out tracts when I first became a Christian when I was 9. By the way, that's when I accepted Jesus as my Savior, when I was 9. And I was passing out tracts, and I was just going around, passing out tracts, passing out Bibles in my school, telling everybody about God, just super excited, super motivated. My spirit was just way up. I was like, yeah, let's do this. The Holy Spirit was filling me. And then I just started to, have worries, and I started getting stressed out, and I just started sloping, and then it just sloped way down, and I was not feeling good for a while there. It was not easy. And then just recently, actually, I have come back to God and just realized that what I did was very wrong of me, and I should have stayed with him from the very beginning. I should have just stayed with him during all this time. But that's what will happen in a Christian's life a lot of times. They'll start out super strong, and then the life will just crush them out if they're not staying near to God. Because that's what happens. If you're not moving, you're sinking. Okay? So you got to keep on moving in your Christian faith, and you got to keep on staying with God. But of course, with Joseph, he was with God, but sorry, I think something just fell over there. I think it was my charger. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Joseph gets sold by his brothers. He's in Potiphar's house, but God is with him. Now, you gotta realize, you gotta stay faithful to God, but God will also stay faithful to you. God is super faithful to his believers, and he will stick with you to the end. The thing is, when you're with God, God will never, if they take this to be God, and this is you, God will never do like this. The only thing that can happen is you moving away from God. God will still be steadfast. You are the only one that can affect your relationship with God. So, anyway, God is with Joseph. God is being faithful to Joseph. And God, even when he goes through that hard time, Joseph's like, God, you're still with me. I'm going to stick to you. And God blesses him for it. And God makes him like second in command of Potiphar's house. And Potiphar was a very, very rich man. He had lots and lots of money. And another thing that comes with lot of money most of the time is a very beautiful wife. Now, Potiphar did have a very beautiful wife. At least I think she did. He didn't. I'm not sure. But I think it was a very, very beautiful wife. And what happened with Joseph is this wife was trying to tempt Joseph into laying down with her. Just trying to get him over to, do something not so good. So, Joseph is like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this stuff. One day, Potiphar's wife is laying on like her couch or her bed or whatever, and say, hey, Joseph, come lay down with me. Come lay down with me. And Joseph's like, no, I'm not laying down with you. I'm not going to commit adultery, and I'm not going to do wrong against my godly father, and I'm not going to do wrong against Potiphar. And Joseph and Potiphar's wife is like, oh yes you are. You better get over here now. And Joseph's like, I am not doing that. And he starts running out the door, but she grabs his robe, and as he runs, he's obviously she's obviously not strong enough to pull David back. But what happens is the robe rips off in her hand, and she has the robe in her hand. And later, Potiphar gets back home. So as you know, things are looking up for David. Things are looking good. And then Potiphar gets back home, and his wife is like, "Oh yeah, so David, he tried to put himself onto me. Yeah, he tried to lay down with me in my bed. He was kind of, well, he was trying to, get with me. So, yeah, I just want to let you know that." And so Potiphar's like, that's not going to fly with me. And he's just like, David, you're going to prison. So he sends David to prison. He's wrongly accused, and he's sent to prison. So you gotta realize, during your Christian life, as being a Christian, you're going to face troubles. I mean, the devil is going to be trying to stop you every chance he can get. It says that the devil is like a roaring lion looking to whom he can consume. And the devil, he is looking to consume you. So, he will be trying to put you down at every chance you get. And during your Christian life, sometimes you'll stumble. In the prison, Joseph is put into first command over all the prisoners. So he's basically, it's kind of odd, but because I've never really heard of this, of a prisoner being in charge of other prisoners. But anyway, God made it work out for Joseph, and Joseph was put in charge of just making sure everybody in the prison was not getting too unruly and such like that. So he kind of, I think he broke up fights, kind of that kind of stuff. So Joseph was wrongly accused, but he kept with God, and God blessed him for it. And he made him in command over all those prisoners. So God was still with Joseph when Joseph was in those hard times. So when we go through hard times in life, God is with us still. Okay? And a lot of times it's a test of faith. And Joseph was tested, but he made it through, which is something that is amazing and good. And I hope you guys who are watching this video, you can experience that too, making it through the temptations that life throws at you. The temptation to do the wrong thing, and the temptation not to stay faithful to God. So, anyway, Joseph's in prison, and one day, a butler and a baker from the king come. No, there wasn't a king. It was Pharaoh. So Pharaoh was like the emperor, the king type figure in Egypt. The butler and the baker, they come into the prison because Pharaoh obviously was displeased with him and sent him there. So, what happens next? Well, the butler and baker, they have a dream. They both have a dream. Each of them has a different dream. And Joseph is able to interpret their dreams. So Joseph says, well, one of you guys is going to die, and one of you guys is going to live. And what happens is, I believe it was the baker, the one that lives, and the baker, he lives. The butler gets killed. So Joseph's prophecy of the dreams, his interpretation of the dreams, with God's help, is that the baker will live and will be brought out of prison. So, they're both brought out of prison. One lives, one dies. But the thing that happens before they get out of prison, Joseph tells the one that is going to make it out of prison, please remember me. Do not forget about me. Now, long story short, he forgot about him. So, he was in there for a lot longer than he expected to be. So, the baker gets back out, and later, and Joseph is still faithful to God during this time. Joseph is still sticking with God. He's pushing through. He is keeping the faith. It's a great thing. And Joseph's keeping the faith, And that's when when Pharaoh has a dream. And he's like, oh, what does this dream mean? What does this dream mean? And that's when the baker's standing by. He's like, oh gosh, oh no, oh, I really messed up. Okay, listen, Pharaoh, there was this guy, and he was in the prison, and he interpreted my dream, and he interpreted, what's his name? Anyway, he interpreted the butler's dream, and, well, those dreams came true. So, I think he can help you too. So, God is still with David, and God is helping him through it, even though David can't, oh my gosh, I can't believe I keep on saying David. Joseph. He's with Joseph, and so God is still with Joseph, and even though Joseph can't see it, God is working on his side. So even when you're going through hard times as a Christian, you got to realize, even if you can't see it, God is working for you. And even when you're not going through hard times, God is helping you. So God is helping you all the times in ways that you can't even imagine. Like, say one day the roads get shut down in one area, or like you're late to this place. But guess what? If you weren't late to that place, there was a car that was going to come out of this driveway all of a sudden and get you in a freak accident. And you're like, oh, darn it, I hate that I'm here right now waiting in this traffic jam to get to this place. But the thing is, God is actually working for you during that moment to actually help save you. So when you're going through hard times, God's using those hard times for the best. In the end, those hard times are going to help you more than they're going to hurt you. Or even if they do hurt you, they're going to be working out for the plan of God to bring glory to his name, which is the most important thing in all of this. The most important thing is that glory is brought to God's name. So it's going to work out, so glory is brought to God's name, and he is going to help you too. And in the end, you're going to be awarded for your goodness on earth, and when you get to heaven, you're going to be given those crowns. He's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. If you do, keep the faith and do the right things, and not be impatient with God and think that he's working against you, because God is not working against you. God is on your side. He sent Christ to die for you. He is working on your side every day of your life. So, that's something to remember. When you're going through hard times, God is working for you. So, Pharaoh calls Joseph to come to him, and Joseph interprets his dream. And the interpretation of the dream that Pharaoh has, I believe it was something along the lines of there was like 7 cows, and 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. And the 7 skinny cows ate up the fat cows. And then there was another dream that was 7 like good things of barley eat up 7 bad leaves of barley, like eat up 7 good leaves of barley. Something has to do with wheat or barley. But anyway, the point is, the bad thing is eating up the good thing, and there's 7 of them. So, Joseph interprets the dream, and the dream means that there's going to be 7 years of famine and 7 years of good harvest. So, the 7 years of good harvest are going to come first, and then the 7 years of famine. And with Pharaoh knowing this, now Pharaoh can prepare for this. So, prepare for these 7 years of famine by reaping as much as you can and storing as much as you can of grain for the 7 years of famine. So during the years of good harvest, they stock up, and what happens is Joseph is put second in command from Pharaoh. So second in command of Pharaoh, he's in second in command of Egypt, which that's just insane. He's second in command over this huge kingdom. So from being a slave to a prisoner, which was being a little boy on his to being just a boy under his father's authority, I guess. Just being at his house, to being sold by his brothers, to being put in prison, and then being taken in second command of Egypt. Just such a transformation in Joseph's life. Just so many things have happened in his life, and God made it work out for good in the end. So, in the end, with God, we are victorious. That is the point. In the end, with God, we are victorious. Life sometimes may seem really hard. Life will sometimes throw many hurdles at you. But by staying with God and keeping faithful, we can make it through those hurdles, and we will make it through victorious. So make it through victorious.